I've revealed the hidden truth of Scorpion 7, but what of the other organization within the unturned world? What of the Coalition? The Coalition is Unturned's UN, an international, coalition, brilliant, I know, of nations dead set on stopping the Turned from consuming the entirety of humanity. Or at least, so they would tell you. The reality of the situation is that the Coalition is a cabal of powerful military leaders dead set on taking the reins of power from sovereign nations under the guise of saving humanity. Many of you will be outraged by this. We know soldiers of the Coalition, and this is simply impossible. But hold your horses, I can prove this. The Federal Republic of Germany, known for its cultural and historical military palace, is one of the largest countries in Europe, and the Coalition killed it. The Coalition must have existed while the German military was collapsing in the mountains. If the Coalition was formed only after the failure of the German military, it would leave them about a month for them to form and occupy Berlin, something that is very improbable and likely impossible. So, we must question the Germans' response to the fast-acting virus. It was to go to space, twice, both resulting in a catastrophic failure. Military personnel claimed that their space missions were even, quote, the only hope left for humanity. The Germans must have known of the Coalition's massing forces, and yet they chose to brave space, a literal vacuum of nothingness over bowing to the Coalition. But the German military fell. Their rockets failed, and their army was overrun. With the absence of the military, the Coalition nominally moved into Berlin to secure and save the local populace. But this is not true. The Coalition took Berlin forcefully from the civilians and destroyed the federal government in Germany. We can even see that there are stations in which the Coalition troops could fire down into the city below, on top of a hospital even. These positions were not designed to fight zombies, but to stop civilians from retaliating. We can also see that the local office buildings have been stripped of all their resources, presumably plundered for use by the Coalition troops. We must also ask about some of the technology they brought with their occupation force. Where you see, the Coalition brought with them jet planes. This might seem normal at first, but then you begin to think, these are not ground support planes. If you were to try and strafe a ground target, especially something as small as a single zombie, it would be near useless. So why bring fighter jets? Well, perhaps they brought them because they knew an enemy force might have them. Perhaps a high-tech army belonging to a powerful European country. And perhaps they feared that these enemy jet fighters could destroy their tanks brought in for civilian control. But yes, I am sure the tanks and jet fighters were innocent weapons of destruction intended for zombies. In 2018, the city of Munich was preparing for Oktoberfest, a traditional German celebration. But why? The German military had fallen and Berlin was under martial law, with the Coalition as an acting government. But no one thought to tell Munich about a dangerous virus? And why a big gathering could be disastrous? No, there's plenty of opportunity to tell Munich. We know the Coalition was sending out scouting parties to hunt for rebels, but evidently warning major cities about public safety concerns is not a priority for the mighty Coalition. And we know from this overturned table that Munich did fall during the celebration, And it is my belief that with Munich, so fell the rest of Germany. And we can also see that the coalition made no attempt to make contact with any of the remainder of German civilian government. We see several locations where presumably some form of German citizenry or government institutions existed, and yet they all stand alone. And now we turn to what the coalition would call terrorists, and what should be truly called freedom fighters. And I do mean that in they are terrorists, but I kind of agree with them, so I'm going to be nice, kind of. Freedom fighters. Yeah, I don't think the syndicates are good guys. The syndicate is a German militia group hell-bent on destroying the coalition's presence inside of Germany and collecting mad drip. But this group is entirely German and seems to have the numbers to rival the coalition presence. It cannot match them blow for blow, but it can approach the coalition's amassing numbers. You see, the syndicate is what's left of the German populace, and they have band together to fight off the coalition because they know, they have seen the weapons the coalition brought, which was designed not for any turned, but any remaining German military force, and they saw Munich fall from willful neglect. The syndicate does not wish to kill an international peacekeeping mission. They wish to take revenge on a military occupier who stood by while their fellow countrymen fell to the worst virus known to man. Russia, the bear of the East, a country with no one left to populate it. You see, the Russian bear was not idle while Germany fell. In fact, the virus likely spread to Germany from Russia. The main event we are interested in within Russia is General Boris's defection. You see, as Russia succumbed to the virus, the then president, Russian man ordered General Boris to perform a nuclear strike on Moscow. Boris, however, thankfully refused the order and sabotaged the missile. This man would not allow the innocents of Moscow to die by the hand of their own military. After an attack on Silo 22 and the destruction of the said missile, Russia would join the coalition. That's correct. The coalition was more than willing to accept a country willing to carry out nuclear warfare against its own people into their fold. And later, the coalition would even give the Russian government in exile the green light to perform the exact same tactic. You see, the Russian government retreated to this oil rig, but when you play on the map, it's been irradiated by a nuclear submarine. Something we haven't seen the likes of in the Navy-heavy Washington nor the technologically advanced Germany. No, this submarine was stationed here to provide military support. A nuclear submarine can only deliver one type of support. And here's where we turn to the coalition's presence in Russia. For most people, they would assume this means the Liberator, but that's not true. The Liberator was actually stationed in Germany before fleeing to Russia after the syndicate ended the occupation of Germany. Rather, there was a heavy coalition presence in Russia under the command of General Roman. Or was there? You see, there's little known about General Roman, but from the details we know, we can begin to paint a picture of what he and the coalition had planned for Russia. Firstly, we know there was a president safe in somewhere, at least until Russia joined the coalition. Yet by next mention of the government, all governmental power seems to have been given to this General Roman, assigned to the defense and saving of Russia, not by any Russian power, but by the coalition alone. And when you stop to look at the oil rig, you realize that the army stationed there was not coalition, it was all Russian. For as little as we know about Roman and his forces, one thing seems clear. He was no peacekeeper assigned to retake Russia from the turned. He was a warlord who likely opposed the legitimate president of the time, and used coalition support to prepare a military invasion of Russia to establish a military dictatorship with him at the helm. The coalition would have you believe it is an organization based on destroying the turned and saving humanity. In reality, it is a militaristic international cabal intent on establishing military dictatorships across the world.